Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome back to the J.R. Stewart channel. Today we're curiosity and conversation. Communication between women and men. Understanding each other's communication style is crucial for fostering a healthy relationship. So I'm going to give you the secrets, lady, the 8 tips. These are my 8 tips. If you follow them, I promise you that your communication with the man in your life will be 100% better than it currently is. So let's explore the tips on how women can better communicate with men. If you find this content valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and with that being said, let's jump right in. Okay, here are my 8 tips, ladies. And before we get started, if you have a pen and paper, you may want to grab it, take some notes, because this is all good information. So the way this got started is, of course, you know, I take emails from my viewers. Even though most of my audience is men, I think about 65% or 70%, according to analytics, all of the emails are from women. So with that being said, if the Eves want to drive the content of this show, so be it. If the men don't want to speak up, then you guys are just going to have to wait until I produce some content that pertains to the warriors and to the man gods, which are coming. So the first rule number 1, is understand the different communication styles between men and women. Men and women communicate differently. Women are a little more emotional. Men are very upfront. I've also seen studies that said women use 3 to 4 times more words than men because they have a lot more, their communication a little more complicated when you're dealing with emotions and the subtleties and the nuances that presents. Men, we like more direct. You know, cut and dry, get to the point. You know, don't give me the Encyclopedia Britannica version. Give me the Reader Digest version. I mean, just cut it short. So just understand, ladies, rule number 1, men and women communicate differently. Do not communicate with your man the way you would with your girlfriends or mom and them. So it's not going to work. And if it does work, that's a sign that your man is not a warrior. You know, he's trained more Adam and Eve, which you guys know from watching my series, The Chronicles of Eve and the Ways of the Warrior, the Ways of the Caveman, that it's not good for a man or woman to be both Adam and Eve. You need to be one and be very good at it. So rule number 1 is understand that men and women communicate differently. Rule number 2 is to be direct and clear. So I can't stress this enough. When a man pushes up on you and he says, I just want to get to know you better, that's generally the good opening line. Then your response needs to be, if you think you have some interest, you want to give him a chance, maybe there's a shot here, you don't know. You should let him know the rules are up front. And the rule is, so I'm going to tell you, ladies, this is very important, so pay attention. Write this down if you have to. Be very clear, be very direct. Let him know, in no uncertain terms, that you value honesty and that if he wants to get to know you better, he needs to be brutally honest with you. If I ask you a question, be brutally honest, and I bear the responsibility if I ask a question. If you give me the honest answer, I may not, depend on what the question is, what the answer is, but I'm going to appreciate and value you as a person for respecting me enough to be honest. So you let him know what the rules are. So he doesn't have to worry about whether he can be honest with you, it's going to hurt your feelings, if he's going to say something that's going to damage your sense of sensibilities. None of that. I know up front because she told me early on in when we met that she wanted me to be brutally honest. So guess what? That's simple enough for me. I can do that. I can be brutally honest. And so then here's the other thing. My daughter sent me a video clip. She's kind of my graphics manager and program manager, of a guy giving some relationship advice. And his advice was, ladies, that you want to pick guys who are good at communicating. Stay away from those guys who struggle, who can't open up. And this is really bad advice. Because I'm going to tell you, you know who the best communicators are? The snakes. In the garden, the snake came and communicated with Eve. That's why we say silver-tongued snakes. Back in my snake days, it wasn't good enough for me to just be a snake. I took 2 years learning why these snake techniques that I observed in other snakes work, why they work. I'm an engineer. I take things to design a better system, and that's what I was determined. I was determined not to be that guy leaning up against the wall, not getting any play at the clubs, and to the guy who every time I went out, payday, home run, every time, never without fail. Once I learned how to be a snake and why the snake techniques work, and I was able to perfect the snake techniques. And part of that was telling you how they feel, how much they want to be with you, all the things that you want to hear. They're just constantly feeding it to you. Those are the snakes. So you've been warned. So you want the guy to be honest with you, honest communication of what you want, not necessarily open, not necessarily communication in and of itself. You want honest communication. There's a difference. You can find a guy who will tell you anything that you want to hear, but you want the guy who's going to tell you the truth, I believe is what women say they want. So I'm going to take what you say that you want and take you at your word. And here's the other thing, according with this rule. See, there's categories, A, B, and C. So be direct and clear. The other thing is, A, whatever he shares with you, do not throw it back in his face. Never. I used to wet the bed and my mother had to put down rubber sheets for a year. Well, if you get mad at him one day, don't throw that back in his face. That's why your mom had to put down rubber sheets, you bedwetter. Don't do it, ladies. No matter how angry you are, how frustrated you are, I know you just want him to be frustrated and angry, but don't do it. Because if you do it, whatever he shares with you, make absolutely sure before you share with anyone else, with friends, with mom and them, at dinner parties, wherever you are, make absolutely sure that you have his permission before you share. When he shares something with you, you can say, hey, before I share this with anyone, you take it to your grave. You never, ever, never, ever, 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 never, never, ever speak of it with anyone else. You demonstrate to him that you are trustworthy, that you can take the things that he shared with you that are just between the two of you, even if you're not together anymore, still maintain that because you never know. Y'all may get back together. So that's where we are on. So let's recap real quick because I don't want you to lose track. For those of you who are not writing this down, I'm going to do recaps. It'd be easier and better if y'all wrote it down. So the first one was make sure you understand that men and women communicate differently. Do not communicate with your man as you would with another girlfriend. So men don't care about your feelings, and all of the 100 million nuances to the story. Keep it direct, keep it short if you can. And if you're asking them questions, make sure you ask open-ended questions. Don't ask yes or no questions, closed questions. Did you have a good day at work? Yes. So in the conversation now. Versus, hey, anything happened? Tell me something about work that you'd like to share with me. What were some of the things, your highlights, low points. So you keep it open like that. If you want to talk about work, structure it in a way that gives them an incentive to talk about it. So, and then the second one is just be direct, clear, circumstance. I don't care how upset you get. Don't throw it back in his face. So those first two, I've kind of did a segue into the third point, which is active listening. And every guy, ladies, I'm going to tell you, every man wants to be listened to. He wants to be admired. He wants to be looked up to. He wants that more than love itself. In fact, admiration, to write this down, admiration is probably more addictive than sex itself. Sex is, 15, 20 minutes, whatever the duration is going to be. with some foreplay and some maybe some cuddling afterwards. Maybe an hour, 2 hours. Let's say I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're with a stud, and maybe the whole interaction lasts from beginning to end 3 hours with everything involved. Admiration is for a lifetime. So be an active listener and give your man your full attention. Turn off the phone, put the phones down, mute the TV, silence the radio, and sit down and have a conversation with him. And like I said, make sure you take an interest in what he's doing. Don't ask closed-in questions. Make sure you ask open-end questions that give him a chance to talk. And then when he's talking, take an interest in what he's talking about. When a man looks into your eyes and he sees that sparkle, he sees you're really into, honey, I'm going to go to the moon. I'm going to bring you back a moon rock. You're only people that have a moon rock now are people in NASA, but you're going to have one. Okay, fine. And we all understand that sometimes men talk and they have no intention, really, of going to the moon. But that's fine, though. Because, maybe you plan to go to the stars. But if you make it to the moon, only 11 people have been to the moon. And if you can't make it to the moon, then maybe you can make it around the corner. You can make it to a job interview. You can make it to the next step on the promotion ladder. You can do some things, and you can encourage him to let him know that you're behind him. You're his ride or die. You're going to make him feel good because no one else is going to champion your man. That's your job. Your job is to let him know that you and God really want him to go fight for that promotion. Because earning more money is a way of protecting your quality of life. It's about security for your family. God wants your family to be secure, to be happy. So be an active listener. Ladies, take interest in what he's talking about. Nod your head, smile. Let your eyes open wide. And every now and then remind him that these are the things that you said you were going to do. So let him know, I expect you to do these things. And if you can't do them, like for me, I'll give you just a personal example. And with my wife, I've taken on lots of projects during my life, lots of business ventures, ideas. But one day I went to talk to her about a new business venture. And she said, she was kind of nonchalant about it. And I said, okay, what's wrong? Normally you seem a little more excited. She said, well, you started a ton of these projects. You don't seem to finish any of them. I'm like, wow. I had to think about that for a second. Now, I had logical reasons why each and every one of them had to stop, go in a different direction, do something differently. But understand that all she sees on the surface is that you have these great ideas, you start them, and then all of a sudden you stop. Because my Eve helps me become a better person. And she didn't realize, maybe she did realize it, that by offering me that bit of a criticism was actually giving me something to think about. So now, if I start a project, I'm absolutely committed. I'm gonna keep working it till either I get to where I want to or I die. Hopefully I get to where I want to. Number 4, respect differences. My wife is a stickler. She has this 3-rule thing where she tries 3 times, and if we don't agree or we agree, then we have to agree to disagree. And it's like, we're going to go back and forth. We're not going to keep going back and forth forever. There's going to be 3 iterations. Normally her 3 iterations is her 3 attempts to get her point across. Somehow it doesn't feel like I get my 3 attempts. So generally I have to fight for my 3. And if you want to shut it down at that point, okay, shut it down. And sometimes it comes down to who wants to have the last word. So that's just the way my wife and I, my Eve and I interact. I'm not saying it works for you, but have a cutoff rule. That if you guys can kind of, you don't want to go back and forth and get all emotional because, just make sure the person understands what you're saying. Hey, I'm trying to communicate this point. And if you acknowledge that you understand my point, then we can move on. I just want you to understand it. You don't have to agree with me. Just understand my point. And then you allow him room to understand his point. And you guys can go volley back and forth twice, 3 times, whatever the number is going to be. But once again, this is one of those rules that you establish with your man. So I know when my wife and I are starting to volley back and forth, I already know that because she's told me, I'm going to give you 3 chances. We're going to go back and forth 3 times and I'm going to cut it off. Okay, fine. That's the rule. I understand the rule. Men understand rules. We're very rule-centric. This is why the Bible has so many rules for men, for the Adams out there, for the warriors. Whatever that number is going to be, hey, you and your man, you and your Adam, y'all figure that out. I'm not going to tell you how to micromanage your relationship. I'm just telling you, put some rules in place that men understand, and you stick to the rules. If the number is 3, like it is for me, once y'all volley back and forth 3 times, you cut it off. Nothing else is going to be said about it. We're done. That's it. We're just going to have to agree to disagree. Walk away. He will respect you for doing that. Trust me on this one. I know men because I'm a man. I'm a warrior. I'm a man god. We know these things. This is why you want to marry man gods. Number 5, which we already talked about and kind of touched on. So some of these kind of to appreciation. You let your man know, your Adam know, your warrior know. Even if you don't have a warrior or an Adam, even if he's just a caveman, you let him know you appreciate the things that he do. You let him know on a regular basis. And then you encourage him. You become the cheerleader squad for him. You let him know that I believe in you. I trust you. You're honest. You're hardworking. You look out for me and the kids, for this family. You keep us together. You lead by example. The things that you say that you're going to do, you do them. And so if you keep encouraging him to be that warrior, he'll grow into the warrior. And if you need help with helping your man evolve into a warrior or a man god, please give me a call. I shout out. Go to my website, thejrstewart.com. That's THEJRStewart, STEWART.com. My contact information is there. So I would gladly work with the man in your life, the caveman in your life. He has to be a caveman, ladies. Do not call me if he's some piece of crap guy who's not supportive, it doesn't work, who's just bleeding you dry. Because all I can say to that is get rid of him. But if he's a guy who has good potential, he's a caveman, he works, he provides, he's secure, he provides security. Okay, those are the foundation. You can start with that. We can work with that. But appreciate him and encourage him always. Always. And as he grows into a warrior, into a man god, he will reciprocate that. He will learn how to do that, provide energy for you that you need. And I promise you, when your man becomes a warrior or a man god, Eves don't divorce their Adams. I'm going to tell you up front right now. So if you want to be married for life, the best thing you do is help him grow and evolve, and that's your job, to make him better. You are the roadmap. You are the key, ladies. So you have to accept this. This is the change that you're going to bring about in him. There's nothing wrong when you want to change your man to make him better. That's what you do. That's what women do. That's your job. So don't let anyone tell you that you nagging or you trying to make him better is a bad thing. Yes. Make sure that when you sit down, you want to have a good relationship with your man, sit down and choose some time. You're going to turn the games off, turn the TV off, put the children away. You and I are going to have a cup of coffee. We're going to just sit down and have a cup of wine. And then you schedule that. You pick the days on the calendar. Maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maybe there's not much on TV. It's a slow entertainment day. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to break out a bottle of wine and maybe make some coffee, tea, whatever it is. I don't care what you drink. And we're going to sit down for 30 minutes or an hour. We're just going to talk. I'm going to catch up with what's going on with you. You're going to catch up with what's going on with me. So that's number 6. So let me say, before I get too far, let's do a recap real quick. Number 1, this is for the people who don't take notes. Make sure you understand that men and women communicate differently. Number 2, be direct, be clear. But also make sure you're honest and you're trustworthy. Do not use his words against him, And do not share what he tells you to anyone else unless you have permission to share it. Number 3, be an active listener. Just take some interest in what he's saying. Make sure you contribute to the conversation. Number 4, if you guys don't agree, shut it down. Pick a number. And your perspective, they may not be different. They may not be aligned. Maybe politically, he's a Republican and you're a Democrat. Maybe he's conservative and you're liberal. I don't know. I don't care what the differences are. Just at some point, you're not going to let a discussion turn into something heated and become a divide. You're going to shut it down early. You're going to give yourself proper chance to make sure the other person understands your point. And if they do, it's over with. We have to agree to disagree. That's it. Number 5, appreciate and encourage your man, the things that he does. You want to reinforce that encouragement, that appreciation is like a drug to men. Let him know that you appreciate him going to work every day, paying bills, being a good husband, being a good father. Let him know that, hey, I believe, and you encourage him, I believe that you can be a better husband. You can be a better father. Then you sit down and talk about it. So give you something to talk about. Hey, that J.R. Stewart guy says that at this point you're pretty much a caveman, which is a good thing. But he says that you can evolve into a warrior and that you can evolve into a man god. That it's my job to help you get there. I like to sit down and talk about that. Let's see if we can work on that. Because I believe that as great as you are right now, that you can be better. That's encouragement. You're always a cheerleading squad. Don't ever put him down. I mean, if he deserves being put down because he's no good, then get rid of him. And then number 6, which you just talked about. Choose the right time to talk. Pick out some quality time. My wife, every now and then, when we sit down, we don't have a scheduled time, but we have times when we just talk. We turn everything off, we mute everything, and then we just talk. She catches me up, I catch her up, and if I think that she has some downtime, schedule it and make it more structured so you can plan it out and plan your day and your activities around it. Because my wife and I are empty nesters, other than our 2 dogs. But maybe you have children. Life is a little more complicated for you. So you may want to put it on the calendar. Also, while you're talking, humor is a good thing. And it's a fantastic bridge to foster communication by injecting a little humor. Laugh a little bit. Don't be so serious and uptight. Unwind a little bit. That's what the wine is for. So when you have your session, break out that bottle of wine. Keep a bottle on reserve. And you'd be surprised how much you'll loosen up with a little alcohol. And takes away the inhibition. And then I already touched on number 8, which is ask open-ended questions. Do not ask yes or no questions, because with men, they'll give you a yes or no answer. Ask open-ended questions and encourage them to talk about something, whatever it is, work, a basketball league, at the rec, working out, eating lunch, hey, tell me what's going on with Marcus, your best friend, whatever it is. Ask open-ended questions and encourage them to talk. And then at that point, you take interest in what he's talking about. And so once again, I'm going to finish this up by doing my final recap for those who didn't bring out the paper and pen and take notes. Understanding that men and women communicate differently. Be direct, be clear, be an active listener, respect different perspectives, appreciate and encourage, choose the right time, and the right time is not playoff time during kickoff of the football game. Trust me on that one. If he loves you, he'll he'll pause the TV and hear what you have to say. But don't put him in that position. Number 7 is to use humor as a bridge. And then the 8th tip I'm going to offer to you is to ask open-ended questions. And there you have it. Some tips on how women can better communicate with men, with both voices be heard. Sometimes my Eve, my ride or die, she likes to be heard. And I speak a lot, so I understand that, Sometimes she feels it's her time to talk, and then maybe I've spoken too much. But make sure you balance it out. Make sure you create a space where both of you can be heard, so it doesn't become, you don't have to fight to be heard. You want giving you the straight inside scoop like the way I give it to you, especially from a biblical perspective. I'm not a preacher though, but give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so it can produce more content, and share your thoughts in the comment line. And until next time, happy communicating, ladies, Eves.